You will agree with me that the glutes are one of the most desired muscles. However, many women face frustrations when it comes to increasing the size of their glutes. When it comes to glute training, a lot of people think the more, the better, and to some extent, it makes sense. But what if I told you there was a better way that ensures that you're maximizing glute growth and removing the need to spend hours upon hours in the gym? Hi guys, my name is Vanessa, and I'm a fitness and wellness creator living in Lagos, Nigeria. I also took my glutes from this to this, and in this video, I'll teach you how to grow the glutes of your dreams. The truth is that when it comes to the glute, it consists of 3 muscles. The first one is the glute maximus. The second one is the gluteus medius. The third one is the gluteus minimus. Now, when it comes to training the glutes, a common consistent mistake that I see people make is in terms of their exercise selection and technique. To maximize the development of all 3 sections of the glutes, a well-rounded program needs to include exercise involving hip extension, hip abduction, and hip external rotation, all while using proper technique. In other words, it should take the glute through its full range of motion and across different movement patterns, because the gluteus maximus and the gluteus medius all respond best to varied loading angle and muscle length positions. So let me show you the exercises you should be doing and how to execute them. The first category includes exercises that involves hip and knee extension. So exercises like squats, lunges, split squats, and step-ups. One thing to note is that while doing these exercises, you should aim for deep hip flexion, and also you should lean forward slightly. Any exercise in this category ensures that you're fully stretching the glutes max in the bottom position in a way that's going to challenge your glutes more than the quads. Personally, my favorite in this selection is the step up, and I like to perform them while holding something else for support. So it could be a wall, it could be anything that is actually sturdy enough to support me through the movement. The nice thing about this exercise is that you can perform it on a Smith machine. You can also perform it using kettlebells, and you can also perform it using free weights. Always have a mental clue that you need to lean forward slightly. Also be wary of the knee that you're sending back, because if your step back is too short or if it's too close to you, you're going to move more through your quads. But if it's at a sufficient distance away from your body, then you're going to involve more glutes movements. Personally, I like to think and remind myself that the entire movement is powered through my glutes. I like this mental cue because what it does is that it helps me to maintain tension in my glutes, which means that even the arm that I'm holding for support, I'm not relying excessively on that arm to pull me up and then send me back again. So all of the movement is powered entirely through my glutes. The main reason for making this choice, or the main reason for choosing this exercise as my favorite, is because the glutes are challenged in a stretch position, which actually favors glute growth. The second category involves deadlifts and other similar hinge variations, such as good morning. My preferred choice here is the Romanian deadlift, which is also referred to as the RDL. The difference between the RDL and the regular deadlift is that in the RDL, the bar never touches the ground, whereas in the deadlift, the bar touches the ground before you re-engage. Whether you're using dumbbells or barbells to perform the RDL, you want to always ensure that you're pushing your butt back, and then you want to slowly lower the weight down while keeping the weight close to your shins. The name of the game here is quality. You want to feel every rep. You actually want to only count quality reps. The unilateral version of the RDL would be the single leg version of the RDL, or the B stand squats. It can be done with a barbell, with a dumbbell, or even with kettlebells. The third category involves movements such as hip thrusts, glute bridges, and 45-degree hip extensions. The difference here is that the glutes are being challenged in a shortened position, and of course my preferred here is the hip thrust, and I prefer this because it's easy to progressively overload with the hip thrust. I typically perform this exercise with my upper back supported with the bench. At the top of the movement, often when you're squeezing your glutes the hardest, your knees should be roughly at 90 degrees. If your knees are too bent, you're going to feel a large stretch in your quad. And if your knees are too straight, you are going to feel your hamstrings working more. So your hip should be positioned at about hip width apart while facing slightly outward. The only issue I have with the hip thrust is that it can be a hassle to set up, especially if your gym doesn't have a designated hip thrust area, or if you're short on time. In that case, you can perform the exercise with a dumbbell. well, or you can opt for glute bridges, especially if you're a beginner. Another exercise that I've recently added and that I'm feeling the burn with is the glute extensions. This is a 45-degree extension. To start, the pad should be low enough that it's going to allow you to move from your hips, and also you want to maintain a flat back, so no overarching of your back here. One common mistake that happens here is that people tend to overextend when they get to the top. Instead, what you want to do is just like stop while your back is still flat. Also, your feet can be straight or your feet can be slightly pointed outwards. If you're a beginner, you can start this exercise with just your body weight and then feel free to add dumbbells or weighted plates the more comfortable or the more comfortable you get with the exercise. If you want that rounded side booty that gives you the shape and then makes it look like you actually know what you're doing at the gym, then you should not be skipping hip abduction workouts. Most people ignore this, and most people don't actually do this workout, and it's the secret sauce for both aesthetics and also performance. When I talk about hip abduction, what I mean here is any exercise that allows you to move the leg away from your body in the frontal plane. So think about moving your leg side to side, not moving your leg forward to back. With this particular workout, what I'm doing here is using a cable machine. The main muscles here are your gluteus medius and your gluteus minimus. They sit a little higher and to the side of your main glute max, and they work like stabilizers, especially when you're walking, when you're running, or when you're squatting. These include exercises like the seated or the standing hip abductions. Now, in case your gym doesn't have a hip abduction machine, you can perform standing hip abductions. But if you're at home, one thing that you can also do is to get a bench, sit down on the bench, and then put a resistant band on your thighs and then open and close your thighs. That way you're working your inner or you're working your abductors as well. So to perform the standing hip abduction, what you want to do is to attach an ankle strap to a low cable. You want to stand tall. You want to lift your leg out to the side slowly. The key here is control, okay? Don't swing your legs, don't use momentum. Pause for 1 to 2 seconds at the top and then release and lower slowly. These work anywhere between the 12 to 20 rep range because you're going with a really light weight. And those are the 4 categories of exercises that you need for a complete glutes day, and I hope to see massive glute gains on you. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to leave a like, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.